A very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television, the perfect show to kickstart your day, bringing you the top national, international, sports and business news. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are this morning's headlines. Home Minister Rajnath Singh to undertake 4-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir beginning today. Ahead of the visit, says he is going to the state with an open mind. Jammu and Kashmir is our integral part, says India at UN Forum, accuses Pakistan of using terror as a state policy after its representative rakes up Kashmir issue. World's first of its kind no-fly list issued by government. 3 levels of unruly deeds described. Quantum of ban to range from 3 months to 2 years. Death toll in one of the most powerful earthquakes recorded in Mexico rises to 60. Hundreds of buildings toppled. Second national emergency for country bracing for Hurricane Katia. And Kevin Anderson reaches the final of the US Open to face the winner of Nadal-Del Potro match on Sunday. Sania Mirza and her Chinese counterpart crashes out of the tournament. Our top story this morning, India has firmly told Pakistan that Jammu and Kashmir will remain an integral part of the country. Now, criticizing Islamabad for using terrorism as a tool of state policy to covet the Indian territory, India hit back at Pakistan for raking up the issue at a UN forum on culture of peace. In a reply to Pakistan's permanent representative Maliha Lodhi, who raised the Kashmir issue during a debate on Thursday, senior Indian diplomat Srinivas Prasad said, and I quote him now, "Jammu and Kashmir is and will remain an integral part of India. It is time that Pakistan too reconciles to this. As a democracy, India always abides by the choice of the people and will not allow it to be undermined by terrorists and extremists." He further added, and I quote, "It is ironic that our neighbor Pakistan, well known for providing safe havens to terrorists and using terrorism as a state policy, has used this platform to yet again covet Indian territory, cloaking its designs in the garb of concern for justice and self-determination," unquote. Meanwhile, after joining BRICS members in condemning terror groups based in Pakistan, China on Friday tried to defend weather ally, saying that Islamabad too has made sacrifices and has done its best to fight terrorism. Now, this came after a meeting between the foreign ministers of both the countries on Friday.
China on Friday defended its ally Pakistan on the issue of terrorism. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said that Islamabad has done its best to combat terrorism and some countries need to give it full credit for that. The remarks were made at a press briefing in Beijing with his Pakistani counterpart Khwaja Mohammad Asif. China's reaction came after US President Donald Trump last month slammed Pakistan for providing safe haven to terrorists.
巴基斯坦政府和人民为反恐事业所做出的巨大努力和民族牺牲有目共睹，国际社会应当给予充分的肯定。我们认为，巴基斯坦在反恐问题上做到了尽心尽力、问心无愧，反倒是某些国家应当还巴方一个公道。
Pakistani Foreign Minister Khwaja Mohammad Asif is visiting Beijing after China backed a tough resolution on terrorism at the just concluded BRICS summit in Xiamen. Asif thanked China for its unequivocal support to Pakistan and said maintaining regional security and peace is Pakistan's priority.
With China's intervention and their role in bringing us together, Kabul and Islamabad, it will go a long way, and we will definitely pursue a policy of engagement with Kabul in bringing peace to our region. Thank you.
China, Pakistan and Afghanistan will hold a foreign ministers' dialogue before the end of this year to enhance cooperation between the three sides. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in related news, Home Minister Rajnath Singh will today embark on a 4-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir. Now, ahead of his visit, Singh on Friday said that he is going to the state with an open mind and is ready to meet anyone who wishes to interact with him, as the government wants resolution of all the problems. He will be accompanied by the Union Home Secretary Rajya and senior officers of the Ministry of Home Affairs as well. Now, during his visit, he will meet Governor N.N. Bora and Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti. Singh will also review Prime Minister's development package and security situation in the state. He will also meet various delegations of civil society members, leaders of political and social organizations, business leaders and others in Srinagar and Jammu. Now, during his interactions, the Home Minister will receive people's representations on how to bring a lasting peace in the West Valley. He will also interact with the J&K police jawans, CRPF as well as the BSF jawans in the state.
मैं तो चाहूँगा सभी लोगों से हमारी बातचीत हो सके, जो भी स्टेक होल्डर्स मिलेंगे मैं उन सबसे मैं बात करूँगा। मनसा ये है कि कश्मीर में की जो समस्या है उसका समाधान होना चाहिए।
On to some other news now. The government has approved a long-awaited cadre review policy for junior commissioned officers and other rank holders in the Indian Army. Now, this is a step which will offer higher career progression to nearly 1.45 lakh personnel of the force. The upgradation will take place over a span of 5 years. The last cadre review for the Army was done way back in 1984. The Defence Ministry has also agreed to start residential Army public schools in Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh and Mamoon in Punjab with a capacity of 2,000 children each. The Army Welfare Fund Battle Casualty to help the next of the kin and the disabled has also been formed. The first tranche of the disbursement of 3.24 crore rupees was done in July this year. On to the other top story of the day. Now, misbehaving on a domestic flight could now get a passenger barred from flying for a period ranging from 3 months to 2 years or even more. Now, the government on Friday released the no-fly list with the 3 levels of clearly defined unruly deeds and the quantum of a ban against each level. Now, these new rules will be applicable to anyone on board on an aircraft, VIPs and crew included. Here is a report.
India has become the first country in the world to have a national no-fly list. Civil Aviation Minister Ashok Gajapati Raju on Friday released the no-fly list that bans unruly passengers from domestic air travel. The motive behind the no-fly list is to keep blacklisted people off planes to ensure safety and check unruly behavior.
It will be fairly well accepted because it has taken a balance of what should be done in the is acceptable in the aircraft, say what is acceptable in ground. So the whole thing is balanced.
Unruly physical gestures, verbal harassment and unruly inebriation shall invite a ban up to 3 months. Physically abusive behavior like pushing, kicking, hitting and inappropriate touching will also attract a ban up to 6 months. Life-threatening behavior like assault and damage to aircraft systems will also lead to imposition of ban for 2 years or more. For repeat offenders, the ban will be twice the period of the previous ban.
We can never compromise on safety and of course security. So basically safety angles are to be looked into and there should be a fairness in the whole thing.
The complaint would have to be addressed by the pilot in command of the aircraft. An internal committee then formed by the airline, consisting of a district and sessions judge as chairman and members from different scheduled airlines and consumer association would examine the complaint and decide within 30 days on the duration of the ban. During this period, the concerned airline could impose a ban on the accused passenger. These rules will be applicable to foreign carriers too, subject to compliance with the Tokyo Convention of 1963. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break here. We'll be back with more news. Don't go anywhere.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. a salute to diversity, promoting public discourse, events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
The story we thought we knew. The story of magnificence. The story of bloody battles. Of those who ruled and those who left their footprints. Charting the course of our past. Talking history on Rajya Sabha TV.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Thanks for staying with us. The 51st International Literacy Day was observed on Friday across the world with the theme Literacy in the Digital World. Now, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu conferred the Sakshar Bharat Awards to dignitaries at an event organized by the HRD Ministry at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. The awards were given to the best performing states, districts, Gram Panchayats and NGOs. Here is a report.
Addressing an event on the occasion of the 51st International Literacy Day, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said neo-literates will be the ambassadors of the country's literacy program and that community learning centers would be developed into hubs of learning and community empowerment.
If you are educated, you will not be able to fight against corruption. You will not be able to fight against discrimination. You will not be able to fight against injustice that is meted out to you. So that's why everybody needs to be educated.
The Vice President also suggested ways to achieve universal literacy while asserting that literacy provides the first essential step towards building a vibrant and a more inclusive democracy.
Development has no meaning without literacy. Democracy has no meaning without literacy. स्वराज्य का कोई अर्थ नहीं है जब तक हर एक नागरिक साक्षरता के साथ उनको नहीं जुड़ेंगे फिर उसका कोई अर्थ नहीं है. Add to this, 40% of our school children are not acquiring basic literary skills proficiently even though after completing the cycle of elementary education. ये भी एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय है.
The event was also attended by Union HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar and Ministers of State for HRD Upendra Singh Kushwaha and Satyapal Singh.
70-80 लाख छात्र आज भी स्कूल में नहीं जा रहे हैं. वो भी तो इलिटरेट है, वो भी असाक्षर है. तो उनका भी एक खास कार्यक्रम करने की हमने सोचा है कि स्कूल चलो अभियान अनेक राज्यों ने शुरू किया. अगले साल से हम देश भर में पूरी तरह से तैयारी के साथ करेंगे स्कूल चलो अभियान.
The 51st International Literacy Day focuses on literacy in a digital world, how digitization has evolved literacy across the globe and who's done a commendable job to deserve the UNESCO International Literacy Prizes. With inputs from Pancharan Mishra, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in Ranchi too, the Vice President said that the age should not be a barrier for learning. Now, while interacting with the neo-literates and literacy instructors in the city, he gave his own example of how he learnt Hindi at an older age. He also rewarded those who became literate at an elderly age. Now, this is the first visit of M. Venkaiah Naidu to the state as Vice President. He awarded 5 Panchayat women heads from Jharkhand who have done commendable work for development and literacy. He also lauded the Jharkhand government for doing a commendable job in the field of literacy.
मैं सबको आप सब से भी अनुरोध करता हूं, अपना इलाके में जो भी बुजुर्ग लोग हैं, जो अनपढ़ है, उनको साक्षर बनाना हमारा कर्तव्य होता है। कारण क्या है, देश आगे बढ़ना, इसके लिए साक्षरता बहुत जरूरी है। जुल्म को फेस करना साक्षरता जरूरी है। समान अवकाश के लिए साक्षरता जरूरी है। उद्योग के लिए साक्षरता जरूरी है। नौकरी के लिए साक्षरता जरूरी है। अन्याय से, अत्याचार से लड़ने के लिए साक्षरता जरूरी है। और भ्रष्टाचार से मुक्ति पाने के लिए भी साक्षरता जरूरी है। मैं इसलिए कहता हूं, ये एजुकेशन फॉर एनलाइटनमेंट।
On to some other news now. The 21st GST Council meeting headed by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will take place in Hyderabad today. The meeting is likely to take up the fixing of tax anomalies on a number of common use items, as well as the quantum of cess to be hiked on luxury and mid-size cars. It will also take up IT-related issues in GST network, which has faced glitches. The meeting is likely to consider lowering the tax rates on over 24 products. The meeting will also formulate a mechanism to deal with the businesses that are deregistering their bans to avoid taxes. The Supreme Court on Friday directed the Tamil Nadu government to prevent any agitation over the NEET examination issue in the state, where protests have intensified after the suicide of aspirant S. Anitha. The apex court also directed the government to prosecute anyone indulging in any activity that creates a law and order problem in the state. The top court issued notice to Tamil Nadu government on a plea seeking a direction to the state to maintain law and order situation. The bench also observed that the National Eligibility and Entrance Test, or NEET, has already been upheld by the apex court. Anitha had committed suicide on 1st of September. A week after the top court ruled that medical college admissions in Tamil Nadu will be based on the national admission test. The bench will now hear the matter on 18th of September.
Passed a direction order the Chief Secretary of the Tamil Nadu State as well as the Home Secretary of the Tamil Nadu State to maintain the law and order situation in the state of Tamil Nadu against the NEET protest. The NEET protest is against the Supreme Court judgment. So that is the reason the Supreme Court today restricted the political parties from taking the law into their hand and creating the law and order situation in the state of Tamil Nadu.
And news from Karnataka now, where at least 3 persons have been killed in heavy rains that uprooted hundreds of trees and several electric poles in the Bengaluru city on Friday. All the 3 were resident of Bengaluru Rural District Hoskote. Now, thousands of people have been stranded on the roads with every major intersection inundated with up to 6 feet of water, particularly near underpasses. Bengaluru Development Minister K.J. George announced a compensation of 5 lakh rupees each to the kin of the deceased. Meanwhile, the Indian Met Department has forecast heavy rains and thunder showers for the city and most parts of the state over the next 2 days. A very short break here. Up next, we have all the international and sports news. Stay with us.
Unakoti, the famous Shaiva pilgrimage spot in Tripura, dates back to the 8th and 9th century. The name means one less than a crore. It owes its origin to an interesting legend that says Lord Shiva, who was on his way to Kashi, stopped here for a night halt along with gods and goddesses. Together, their number totaled 1 crore. At sunrise the next day, Lord Shiva was incensed to find all the gods and goddesses still asleep, cursing them to become stone images. He left alone for Kashi. Unakoti, apart from its rock-cut carvings, has an imposing Shiva head called the Unakotishwara Kal Bhairav. Other eye-catching works include 3 enormous images of Nandi bull that are half buried in the ground and a gigantic Ganesh. To this day, the logistics of these huge carvings remain a mystery.
Art arisen from a multi-hued cultural canvas. Tradition and cultural fervour dating back centuries. And encircling them all, there's a magic that awes. Embrace your nation's brilliant human warmth. Watch Colours of India, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Patthar Sahib, the centuries-old Gurudwara constructed in the memory of Guru Nanak. According to a local legend, once a wicked demon lived in the area who terrorized the people. It is said that Guru heard their woes and came to their aid. The demon got into a rage and decided to kill Guru Nanak Dev with a huge patthar or the boulder. But when it touched the Guru's body, it softened like a warm wax. The local lamas have held the patthar sacred since then and offer prayers to it.
Welcome back after the break. Let's get you some international news now. The number of people killed by a powerful earthquake off the southern coast of Mexico has risen to at least 60 now. A huge rescue operation is underway in the worst hit state of Tabasco, Oaxaca and Chiapas, where people are feared trapped under the rubble. Now, according to President Enrique Nieto, at least 200 people have been injured. The 8.1 magnitude earthquake was the strongest to hit the region in a century on 7th of September. Now, according to the authorities, 4 deaths have been reported in Oaxaca, 10 in Chiapas and 3 in Tabasco. One of the worst hit towns is Xunitán in Oaxaca, where at least 17 deaths have been reported.
Por el terremoto de ayer quedó en muy malas condiciones. Lastimosamente, pues hasta llegar a hacer un arreglo nos da miedo de las réplicas y que por las malas condiciones nos llegue a pasar algo.
La Ciudad de México, donde había muchos daños en 1985, es más lejos. También es lo de la preparación, que ya somos más preparados. Tenemos la alerta sísmica, tenemos leyes de construcción bastante más estrictas.
A big story coming in from the United States, where the emergency agency has warned that Hurricane Irma will devastate either Florida or its neighboring states. While it has been downgraded to a Category 4 storm, but officials warn that Irma remains extremely dangerous. Now, 500,000 people in Florida have already been ordered to leave their homes. Now, Hurricane Irma has left a trail of destruction in the Caribbean already, affecting an estimated 1.2 million people. The death toll due to the hurricane has now risen to 24.
The road by midnight. All right, don't get on the road. We have shelters in your community. Go to those shelters. I mean, you can go to your family, go to your friends, go to those shelters. But we don't want people on the road when the storm starts to hit.
Florida and the neighboring U.S. states bracing up for Hurricane Irma. After battering islands in the Caribbean, Irma is expected to make landfall in the Florida Keys and South Florida on Sunday. Thereafter, it is expected to move into Georgia and South Carolina. While the storm has been downgraded from a rare Category 5, the top of the scale of hurricane intensity, to a Category 4, it is still carrying winds as strong as 250 km per hour. Many residents there are moving inland or to shelters. Some counties are under evacuation orders.
evacuees stocked up on supplies, waited for hours at the gas stations and sat through massive traffic jams. Many tourists are stranded as flights to and from airports in Florida are being suspended. The Bahamas is also getting ready for Irma, with the storm forecast to bring dangerous storm surges of up to 20 feet in parts of the country.
Wife and kids, yeah. Well, we have to stick together. We are a family and we have to be together both in good and bad time.
We thought we were going to be okay. I didn't try to, our kids kept saying, get out of there, like on Monday and Tuesday. I'm going, no, it's going to go to the east, and I'm not super worried, but now, yeah, we're worried.
Meanwhile, the death toll continues to rise in the Caribbean. At least 24 people have been killed this week due to Irma's impact. The storm lashed the Turks and Caicos Islands, Barbuda and the Virgin Islands, and brought torrential rain to the Dominican Republic and Haiti. In Puerto Rico, hundreds of thousands of people are still without power. Island of St. Martin is suffering looting in the wake of Irma. French, British and Dutch military authorities have deployed aid, including warships and planes equipped with food, water and troops to their territories.
Don't forget that RFA Mounts Bay was in the region, and you had to deal with with winds blowing through, so it was difficult to deliver helicopters and to deliver planes in the way that obviously the islanders would have wanted. But we will continue to bring supplies and comfort to those islands.
At its peak, a then Category 5 Irma sustained maximum wind speeds of at least 300 kilometers per hour, longer than any storm on record. The Red Cross estimates 1.2 million people have already been battered by the storm. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And finally, on to some sports news. Ace tennis pair Kevin Anderson has reached the final of the ongoing US Open Tennis Championship at the Flushing Meadows in New York. The 28th-seeded Anderson beat Spaniard and 12th-seeded Pablo Carreno Busta 4-6, 7-5, 6-3, 6-4. While another match between world number 1 Rafael Nadal and 24th seed Juan Martin Del Potro of Argentina is underway. Now, Anderson will face either Nadal or Juan Martin Del Potro in the Sunday's final. Meanwhile, in another match, Sania Mirza and her Chinese partner Peng Shuai lost to Martina Hingis and Chan Yung-jan in the semi-final of the women's doubles 4-6, 4-6. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of News But News, and updates continue on Rajya Sabha Television. Thanks for watching.